Hi everyone! Welcome to the shop today. This is the very last episode in our boring bar for Keith Rucker build.
Yes.
In this video we're going to be showing you how we ground the complex angles into the cutter. And by we I mean Dad, because I didn't really do anything at all. I
just filmed it.
Yeah, the complex angle part was just making my head hurt, so I don't want anything to do with that. Dad can do it and I'll just watch. But yeah, we want to give a huge thank you to Renzetti for all of his help with the drawings he provided and the materials. I mean, it was really great of Robin to do that for us, and it really helped out a lot. And yeah, this boring bar was so nice. I think this was the first item we made that I wanted to keep. I just thought it was so pretty. But no, Keith has got it now, and he showed it off on his Instagram page, and I think he's going to be busy, so he won't be able to get to using it till around Saturday, he said. He's not sure when. But yeah, we'll put a link to Keith Rucker and Robin Renzetti to all their Instagram and YouTube pages in the description. You can check them out if you haven't done so. They're pretty awesome guys, so you should head over there and take a look. Plus, Keith Rucker will have the video, hopefully, of him threading the nut that he needed to get. So that would be a great video to see, because after all the work that went...
Yeah, you just got to see how it ends.
Yeah, after all the work that went into it, we're like, oh, we want to see how that works. So hopefully it works out well for him. Rachel and I just want to mention a couple of presents we got. Our event t-shirts from the Good of the Land Fest. We had these on back order. Yes, you have the names of some of the YouTubers that were there. So we had these on back order because they sold out at the event. So these came in and we really loved them.
Really happy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Theong, for that. And then we actually adopted Bruce Whitham as our grandpa, our Australian grandpa, at the Barzy Summer Bash last year. So he sent us this book. It was written by a friend of his. The Story of Curvy Kate, which is actually the story of his friend building a replica of an SS Jaguar. And even though it's a replica, it's not an exact replica. The car is actually a one-of-a-kind, unique vehicle, because some of the dimensions, I think they said, were changed when he was building this car. So because it's not an exact replica, he had to have special licensing and technical stuff when he was building this car. But Grandpa Bruce said the car is magnificent. So, and because he's friends with the author, we got a signed copy, so yay. But yeah, I'm only about 4 chapters in, and so far it's a pretty good read. Even though I don't understand all the technical car stuff, I'm like, I know he's building a car, so that works. But yeah, anyway, we hope you guys enjoy this video series, and thanks for watching.
Hello everyone. Well, this will be the final video of the boring bar build for Keith Rucker. Everything has been going really good so far. Real thankful for that. I found an old broken 3/16 end mill that I practice on, and that's what this part right here is. And what I'll do is I'll finish that up and even send that with Keith. Now this is the Alta grain or micrograin carbide that Robin sent, and I got one side finished there, so there's 2 tips, and I'm going to show how I ground that because we're going to make one on the other side, and then we'll cut these off, and then that way Keith will have a set of 3 different cutters. But there's quite a bit to this. When you're measuring those angles, I don't have a comparator other than this little 50 times magnification, but the scale only, it doesn't go up wide enough to measure the end on that. Plus it's kind of hard and awkward to use. But if you had a comparator, it would make this job a whole lot easier. So what I had to do is I had to do some CAD work and figure out how to get this measured, talk with Robin on that a little bit, and we decided that we'll go with rolls on the calibers. And I tried, I had to modify my calibers a little bit because I tried to just hold the rolls and measure the angle, but they wouldn't stay parallel to the jaws over there. So I clamped these down, and then I just super glued the dowel pins in there, and I'll be real careful with it, and it's actually working very well. So I'm just going to move that aside before I lose my dowel. As you've seen from the other videos, we have the bar itself done, and these inserts will get cut off the length, but they'll go in here, and they'll be twisted at an angle down, the proper angle, and we'll be good to go with that. And so I hope to have these. I probably won't be able to get these shipped out today yet. I'll probably get them out tomorrow. But you're working with different angles, and we're working with compound angles. So we have one set up where you have a 20 degree, and so this stack is for this 20 degree relief right on the back here. You have an 8 degree set over here, and that's for the 8 degree relief that leaves 20 thousandths. And I don't know if Kathy, if you can see it, you can see the little purple on there. That's their 20 thousandths at that 8 degrees on there. And then you got the 14.42, and what that is, that's the angle coming up the side here. And that, let's see if I can get the print in. So that 14.42 is half of this angle right here, because that's an included angle. And so the other thing I had to, when I use this 14.4, because we're putting 8 degree relief on the sides coming down, what we have, I had some just some 01 flat stock over there, and I just set it up, and because that's the relief, I just machine the edges, put a little relief in the corner from a V-block, and that way, the way I'm using this, it works for both sides on the relief. It positions everything in the same place every time, and it works out good. And so what I did, because I ground these, and I just marked my numbers, I just wrote on the print, when we do the top flat right here, I know that my Y, and this is where a digital on your surface grinder works real nice in both axes. I know the Y will be, if I just position it at 360, it's going to give me this 165. And I know the Z, when I come down to 2 inches 664, it's going to give me this 141 dimension in there. So I can get close, and then I can check it and bring that right in. And for the side relief, when I got this set up, what I can do is I can come to the Y 0, and it will bring this on both sides, and it will bring this 85 and 7/10. And then when I want to double check that, the size when I use the calibers over the dowels is going to be 0.3723. And I even got this set up so that when I put the 20 degree relief in, I'm going to come down to Z is going to be 1 inch and 10 thousandths. And when I do the 8 degree relief, it's going to be Z0. The last one I had to go about 5/10 smaller. But then I'll show you how I'm going to check all that too. And anyways, we'll go right over to the CAD drawing a little bit. I got that up, and I'll show you how I figured out what I needed over the rolls for measuring here. This is Fusion 360. It's a nice piece of software. It's actually quite powerful. I really like the CAD part of it. What we have over here, this is the tip when you're looking at a bird's eye view down on it. And here we got the angles drawn for what they would be. Let's see, how did I do that? Okay. But anyways, it's round out the 3 dimensions, but if I click on them, it'll go out further. These are the 1/8 inch dowel pins. Now the 1/8 inch dowel pins are about 2/10 bigger than the nominal. Plus, when I set this up on the method I'm going to show you for getting the height on this pin, it always goes about, the pin will always go about 2/10 off. So I even factored all that in there, and that's probably overkill, but I factored everything in there so that when I'm measuring with the calipers that I'll be really close anyhow. And but this is how it was set up. Like I say, just drew the tip, get my diameters, get them where they're tangent. The diameter here is tangent with the lines. I drew just a couple lines perpendicular, and then I made them tangent to the circles, and then I would just take a measurement. And so the measurement, like I say, if you, well, actually it looks like if you just hold it over there, if I get it in the right spot. If you double click it anyhow, it will bring it out quite a few more decimal places for you. And so I can just draw that up in a sketch like so, and it's real easy for me to check dimension, and it's just so convenient to have that in a laptop computer and the screen right here, because any of that stuff that I need to figure some tricky math out and stuff, it's so much faster just throwing it up on the CAD. We'll go back to the granite table, and I'll show you how we'll set that pin up to get everything ready for grinding the last side here. Okay, I got 2 blocks set up here. I got the 1/2 inch gauge block and then another stack that will equal a 1/2 inch, because I want that pin to be sticking out a 1/2 inch, because that's where all my measurements are based off of. And so what's real nice, I can come in there, tighten, get that kind of snug down. There we go, just enough. I got to move this, and I got to make sure that I'm not over a screw hole. And then I can snug that down good. And then what I do to get my length, let me just make sure there's nothing on both sides. So then I just kind of push a little bit of finger pressure down on there. Oops. And then I'll tighten that down. And then what I'll do to verify it, see if I can reposition this so you can see it. I'll take the 1/2 inch gauge block. Get that set to 0. And so far all of them been about 2/10 low. This one come out within about a 1/10, so it's pretty close. So what we do from there, first thing we got to do is we got to grind the top flat in. And so here's a few other blocks that I'll be using to do that. And we'll go over to the surface grinder and show you the setup for that real quick. And the setup I have is because I got a special back rail that extends back further than that, which works actually real nice for a lot of stuff, including this project. I got that thinner plate back here, and then I got these blocks wedging this in. This is made out of A2, and A2 is not as magnetic as some other steel like O1 or Coro, and it's got a small footprint, and it would probably work, but this is just a nice safety. This is one of the few times that I will actually block something in. And so I inked the pin up, and you can see I went to my numbers that were on the print. In the Y, the 360, and in the Z, I come down to, I was just touching, and we have to go down to 664, and I'll go 660, and then I'll actually start checking it with a mic. We want to be 141, and we're 145 right now, 4 thousandths, and just exactly what we need to wind down to. Can you see the light?
Not quite. You'll have to show us afterwards.
What's that?
You just have to show us afterwards.
Okay. Yeah, so we're about within 1/10 of where we need to be. This is the 10-inch sign plate that we'll be using. This thing works really good. I like it a lot. I made me a couple pieces on the back that will have, they're adjustable up and down, and I can use that to have the 1/4-20 holes for all my locking purposes here. And I had to bring this on the mill and open up these back holes a little bit because they weren't tapped all the way through. They looked like they were, but they weren't. But this sign vise is nice, but you got to be careful. Sometimes they can be like a mad dog and bite you, and that's what happened right here. I accidentally had my thumb caught, and with this weight down, I didn't drop it. It just kind of smashed it a little bit and pinched, and I actually got a little bit of a blood blister on that side. But it was amazing when you're weighing here how much leverage you have. You can get hurt pretty quick on these, so you got to be careful. So what we're going to do now, we're going to do that compound angle. So we got our 14.42, be half that included angle. We'll set that up in there. And then what we have this that can go against the back rail. It has a notch in it so that when we're setting our V-block up there, it will sit in the same distance relation this way, and so I can slide it back and forth over here, but it's always maintaining that distance. So what I like to do is get that screw down there a little bit, and I always like to kind of go back and forth, pushing that way, and then what I like to try to do is I like to get that screw centered, so that when I tighten it down, if it's not centered, it's not pulling one way or the other, and that will just help on the accuracy. Now what we're going to do is we're going to side wheel with this diamond wheel, and the reason I'm doing that, the bottom of my wheel is really flat, but it's only within a few tenths. Now on this diamond wheel, the high point is right in this area right here, but by making that go a lot lower than where I need, when this goes past that high point, I'm going to get a perfect edge because that high point is going to cut. And so I'm a few tenths off on the bottom, I'll have a perfect cut over here, and that's why I'm sidewilling, plus it works out real good for everything I'm doing here. Oops. Adjust this. Yeah, so I'm getting the height, so we're good. Should be touching a few more thousandths now. Now what I'm doing is just barely touching now. There you can hear it. I'm going to come in like this, touch, well actually wind in, and cut this way out. And the reason I'm doing that, as this diamond wheel wears, I want the sharp edge to be towards the bottom of the wheel over here. If I would cut in the other way, the wheel would wear the opposite way and the high point would keep going further and further up towards the center of the wheel. I want that high point at the circumference as much as possible. So I'll do my cutting from this way out, and what that will do, it will wear the way I want it to go to keep my high point on the circumference of the wheel. And I'm just going to take it easy. We got about 50 thousandths roughly altogether, 50, 55, something like that. I'm going to come all the way down to within 1,000ths, and then we're going to check it. And I'm quite confident I could go to 0 with like I did with the other two. It might make a liar out of me this time, but the other two I could just wind to 0 and they come right out the size. There we're at 1,000 stock that we're leaving on that side right now. What's really nice about this is now all I have to do is loosen this up, clean everything off, take this, clean it off, flip it 180 degrees, and now I can put the angle on the other side. There, we left the thousandths on that side. We'll pull it off and we'll check it and see what it measures now. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to mount this back on the cube. I cleaned all the surfaces off, and it's always important that you make sure all the dust and everything is off. I'm going to line this up a little bit over here to little gauge blocks back a little bit. And, so just snug that down. Then I can take my modified calipers over here. Take my glasses off so I can see what I'm doing better. I got to move the gauge blocks back a little bit more. So now this works nice because I can line my calibers up. I can line them up this way to get them as straight as I can. I can line them up with the V-block itself. We got 3, 7, 3.5 up to 4. And what we need is, let's see, we need 3, 7, 2, 3. And I like to go just a little bit in. I didn't explain that because when I grind that relief, will be good. In this case, I think I'm gonna, yeah, 3, 7, 4. So I'm going to take that off altogether, to 1/1000ths off each side. And so what it's going to do, it's going to leave me about 3/10 smaller than what I need. But when I grind that 5-degree angle, I'm going about 1/10 or 2 lower on there, and it should come out pretty good. Well, we got the top ground, and we got the compound angle ground on the sides. Everything come out good. I got it all sized real well now. So the next thing that we have to grind is we got to grind the relief angles over here. So the first angle I want to grind, I'm going to grind that 5-degree or that 8-degree. So I'm going to have to grab another block set up. And I mark my stacks. I just use the marker to tell what angle I'm going to have. So it helps me from getting confused. It seems like the older I get, the easier it is to do.
And me hanging out with you, it's rubbing off on me.
Yeah. What I did, I just grabbed the 4-inch gauge block. And what we do from here, because my V-blocks, I got them ground real nice even on these sides. And I have a matched set of these. I have the other one at my full-time job. They're about my favorite V-block. I really like these ones. They work real nice for the small diameter work. I'll just ink that up. Just so I got a visual, even though we're going to numbers. So I just started touching right there. In this one we should have to go to Z0. The last one I had to go about 5/10 smaller. There's Z0. And you can see all the ink is gone that I can see, but we'll go back to the granite table and we'll check this. I may have to go just a little bit more. Before I started grinding the top, I did reset that. I mentioned earlier I had 1/10 difference. When I reset it, what I did is I moved the clamp down just a little bit, and when I reset that, and then I had the 2/10 difference. And so if I can come over here, I'm at 0. And over here, you can see I'm about 3, well, 2.5, about 3. And I went right down to 0. And so we're about 1/10 lower than what we were before, which means I did cut all the way up to the point. So that part of it's done. And the other two, well, the last one anyhow, I had to go about 5/10 down lower on there to actually get the numbers in there. But that way, knowing where that was before I started grinding, I can bring that angle right up to the cutting edge, and so that there works out just perfect. And so now what we have to do is we got to cut the 20-degree relief in there. So we'll be popping this gauge block stack in there, and we'll see you back at the surface grinder. What this is going to do, it's going to grind some off the heel over there for clearance going in a 5/8 hole. On this one, my Z height should be 1 inch and 10 thousandths. Okay, we just touched. So we got about 20 thousandths roughly in that area to take off. Now we'll go back to the granite, pull out my pocket comparator, and let's see what we have. There, according to the scale in there, that little blue line right there, I don't know if you can see it that good or not, but that little blue line is right at 20 thousandths. It's kind of hard to get the focus and everything on this, but there's a little scale in there. Each mark is a thousandth. And pretty sure this was a 50. Let me look. Well, they're not saying on there. I thought it was a 50. It might be a 20, but I thought it was a 50. But anyways, it looks good. The relief measures good. And again, this is where a comparator actually comes in nice and handy. So the only thing that I need to do now is I need to cut the lengths off on these to 570 thousandths. And so I'm going to change the diamond wheel out to a cutoff wheel, and then we'll cut those a little bit big, and then we'll put the diamond wheel back on and grind them up till we get that 570, and then we just have to mount it in Keith's bar and get the angle set on that, and once we do that we can ship it to them. We are done. We have the boring bar finished. We got 3 inserts. We got 1 insert mounted and tightened down. It's sitting on the sign plate here for the helix angle. I believe at the 750 diameter is going to be 6 inches, 6.05 degrees. And so we have the bar set up for that. And I'll try to get this around so you can see it. It takes a little bit to get used to adjust that because of the fact that the bar does pinch down. So you got to have a little screwdriver in there to open it up. And I found that if I use the tweezers in this direction, and then I can move it around. And so it took a little fooling around when I got the tweezers out, and then it wasn't so bad. But we're, let me move away from there a little bit. Can you see that indicator cap?
Somewhat.
Okay. So we're within a few tenths over that way. Also, what we needed was from this edge over here out 150 thousandths. I actually got 149. This has got going a 625 diameter hole. If you throw a micrometer across here, you get 603. So Keith is going to have to line this up really good in order for that to work and have its proper clearance. And so anyhow, I learned an awful lot on this project. It was a fun project, and like I say, quite a learning experience for me. And I just want to give a special thanks to all the viewers that have given input and showed me some of the errors that I was making, and I really appreciate that. And special thanks to Renzetti, for the actual design, as well as providing all the solid work, CAD work. So he put, I don't know how much labor he put in it, but it looked like he put a little bit of time in that too. So a special thanks to Robin. It's awesome design. I can't wait to see Keith use that. The roads are nasty right now, and so I was going to try to get that mailed out today, but I think we're going to have to wait till tomorrow and see how the roads are. I've already heard sirens blaring once already just a few minutes ago. So anyways, that will be it on this bar. Now it's just a matter of getting it to Keith. Thanks for watching.